Welcome to Elestrals TCG. Elestrals is a trading card game that features a dynamic resource system called spirits. Your objective as a caster is to force your opponent to expend their spirits past 0 to win the clash. To start a clash, determine who goes first. Then both players will draw 5 cards. The first player does not draw at the start of their turn and won't be able to declare battle for their first turn. If either player doesn't like the hand that they drew, they may mulligan by expending 2 spirits. Expending is the process of sending spirits from your spirit deck to your underworld to pay a cost. Once you've paid that cost, you can return your hand back to your deck, shuffle, and draw a new 5-card hand. A player may mulligan any number of times to start a clash, if you have enough spirits, of course. Elestrals is played by placing your spirit deck and main deck opposite of each other, with 4 rune slots between them. Above your spirit deck is the stadium slot, and above your main deck is your underworld. Between those are the 4 Elestral slots. As you can see, we have 2 decks. Your 20-card spirit deck serves as both your resource to play cards and your life. You may freely look through your spirit deck at any time. You must use spirits to cast the cards in your main deck, but don't forget, when your spirit deck is reduced to 0 and you're forced to expend, you lose. Spirits can be one of 8 different elements that coincide with the cards in your main deck. Each card in your deck has a cost to cast called an enchantment cost, which is paid by attaching or enchanting spirits to your cards. Your main deck consists of 40 Elestral and rune cards, and you can have up to 3 copies of a single card. Elestrals are the monsters you use to battle your opponent, and rune cards have powerful abilities that can help support your Elestrals or protect your spirit deck. Each Elestral or rune has a cost to cast, indicated by the stones on the center of the card. A card must have the correct number of spirits to be cast, but they can be of any element. However, if you want to use a card's unique effect, the spirits enchanted to it must match the element cost, unless it's a generic rune. In this case, any spirit element can be used. This Wind Elestral Hydrake, for example, can only use its effect if it has a wind spirit enchanted, while this Krakatuga must have both a water and a fire spirit enchanted to use its effect. These Elestrals are considered enchanted because they have the proper element cost required in the center of the card. Sometimes it may be advantageous to misenchant your Elestral, which is to use the incorrect elemental spirit, like this Hydrake with a water spirit. A misenchanted card won't have an effect, but can attack and defend as normal. If an Elestral or rune ever has less spirits than its enchantment cost, it is considered under-enchanted, and it's sent to the underworld after all effects are resolved. You may use 1 spirit per turn from your spirit deck to cast an Elestral to the field. This is known as your normal cast. Card effects may allow you to cast Elestrals if certain conditions are met outside of normal casting. This is known as a special cast and does not count against your single normal cast per turn. Instead of normal casting, you can use that 1 spirit action to choose to enchant a spirit to an Elestral you control. This is known as re-enchanting, or you can expend that spirit to draw a card. As part of your normal cast, you can choose to ascend an Elestral. When ascending, you must first reveal a spirit from your spirit deck. Then, send an Elestral on your field to the underworld, taking the spirits enchanting it and pairing them with the spirit from your spirit deck. Those spirits are finally enchanted to an Elestral from your hand that you wish to ascend into. Any Elestral can ascend into any other Elestral, so long as the minimum cost to enchant is met. This means a high-cost Elestral can ascend to a lower-cost Elestral. You can even use multiple Elestrals to meet the required cost of a newly ascended Elestral. An ascension is considered your once per turn normal cast. Each Elestral also features an attack and defense stat, which can be used even when a card is misenchanted. Elestrals can be cast in either attack or defense position and can change their position once per turn, just not on the turn they're cast. They will use their respective stat depending on the position they are on the field. For example, this Necruff has 5 attack, so it's best placed in attack position. But this Astrabit has 5 defense, so it gains more of an advantage being in defense position. When 2 Elestrals enter battle, the higher stat will win, and the other Elestral is destroyed. If 2 attack position Elestrals have the same attack stat, they will both be destroyed. And if an attack position Elestral attacks a defense position Elestral with equal or higher defense, then nothing happens. Dealing spirit damage can happen in one of 3 ways. The first way is by card effect, in which you force your opponent to expend spirits, like Eruption. The second way is during battle. If one of your Elestrals has more enchanted spirits than your opponent's and destroys it while it's in attack position, the difference between the number of enchanted spirits is taken from your opponent's spirit deck. The third and final way is just to attack your opponent's spirit deck directly. This can be done if your opponent doesn't have any Elestrals on the field, or an effect tells you that you can, like Zephyrog. In addition to casting Elestrals, You can also cast runes. Runes are powerful resources that are not limited to one normal cast per turn like Elestrals are. You may cast as many runes per turn as you want, or set them face down in the 4 available rune slots. 5 different types of rune cards are broken into 2 categories: instant and continuous. When instant runes are cast, their effects resolve and they are sent directly to the underworld. Continuous runes, however, are cast and remain enchanted on the field until destroyed or removed. Instant runes include invoke and counter runes. One thing that makes these runes unique is they can use the spirits on your field to cast, or use spirits from your spirit deck like other card types. Invoke runes can only be cast on your turn and are activated immediately. For example, when you play Nectar of the Gods, you may immediately draw 2 cards. Counter runes are generally more defensive and must be set face down for 1 turn before being cast, but they can be activated on any turn, including an opponent's. For example, Tsunami can be used to stop your opponent's onslaught and change Elestrals not enchanted with a water spirit to defense position. The cost for these cards is paid when the card is cast, not when they're set face down. Continuous runes include artifacts, stadiums, and divine runes. Artifacts are weapons and equipment that you can use to empower, weaken, or grant new effects to any Elestral on the field, yours or an opponent's. Artifacts that are empowered to one Elestral cannot be moved to another, and if that Elestral is destroyed or removed from the field, so is that artifact and all of the enchanting spirits. Stadiums can only be cast and not set to their designated slot in the field. Their effects apply to both you and your opponent's fields, and only 1 stadium can be enchanted at a time. This means that whenever a player casts a stadium, any existing stadiums are sent to the underworld. Divine runes allow you to harness the power of the gods and are unique because they are enchanted with 1 spirit, but their effects allow for more spirits to be enchanted instantly. For example, Aeolus has an enchantment cost of 1 spirit, but its effect allows you to enchant up to 4 more wind spirits to it. Divine runes are a huge part of Elestrals as they enable the dynamic strategy called Nexus, the powerful effect that allows you to move spirits around your field to activate effects multiple times. A turn in a game of Elestrals is broken down into 4 phases. The draw phase, where you draw 1 card from your main deck. Your main phase, where you can cast and enchant cards, activate effects, change your Elestral's battle position, and set runes face down. Your battle phase, where you use your Elestral to attack your opponent's Elestrals or damage their spirit deck directly. Then finally, your end phase, where most effects will conclude and you will pass priority to your opponent. Elestrals is played in turns back and forth until one player's spirit deck is reduced to 0 and they are forced to expend, or their main deck is reduced to 0 and they're forced to draw. Join our community on Discord to learn more.